Hello, everybody, and welcome to Illuminated Design. Today we have Bella and Lezli, and Bella and myself are going to be going into Leslie's design. We are bringing forth her human design and gene key profiles to illuminate different aspects of it, to kind of bring light to what wants to be shown today, and kind of go deep into the Venus sequence, deep into the activation sequence, look at her open centers, look at her definition. I mean, there's so many different places to go, and we do have a couple other charts that we decided to pull up. So we'll see where we intuitively flow into today. So if you are catching us live, say hello. Lezli, you don't have to worry about anybody that's in the audience. You can just focus on us and us reading the chart. Okay. It's really super easy. But if somebody has a question or wants to say a comment to you, there is a comment box on the side that you might be able to look and see people commenting and writing to you or for you. So that might be fun for you to make it a little bit more interactive. But definitely know that if there's things that you don't want to talk about, we won't go there. And it's just going to be fun and lighthearted. We're not going to get too deep and dark, but I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know what's going to happen with Bella. She's a loose cannon over here. Just kidding.
Okay. Well, I did say I was game, so.
You said that you're like, I'm game. I'm going to be courageous, and here you are, and I'm excited. So I'm going to pull up your chart right now. So let me grab that. Here we go. All right, so at glance, here are both of the charts. So you have the incarnation cross of consciousness. I believe this is the same cross as Richard Rudd. Super cool. Only I think he might have it flipped. I'm not sure. I don't remember his.
It is flipped.
Okay.
It is flipped, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So 35, 5, 63, and 64. And you are a 2-4 profile, pure manifesting generator, single definition. So that means all your centers are defined. And as we can see, boom, straight line down the middle. Your open centers are everything on the side. So we have an open splenic center, fear, intuition, also immunity. And the characteristics of an open splenic center are when you're in the not self, you hold on to things longer than it's healthy for you. Yeah. Anybody that you're around that has a defined splenic center is gonna make you feel like good and comfortable. And it's not always good to stay in relationships with those people just because they make you feel healthy, because it may not be a healthy relationship. And then we have a completely open ego center or will center. And the hallmark of that one has to do with worthiness, willpower. You're not here to compete, to compare. You are here to feel infinitely worthy. And then we have the open emotional center, which is obviously about emotions. The gates that you have here, 55 and 49. So we will be diving into different parts of your chart. At glance, Bella, is there anything that you want to mention offhand? Is that you, Lezli? You got trains going on?
I do. I do, and they're actually kind of far away. And I'm like, I live in a high-rise apartment, so I'm not actually really near them.
That's okay. The busyness is exciting for you. It must be speaking to your market's external environment. You want people around.
I do like people around. I don't particularly like people sometimes, but I like having them around.
Fair enough. Bella, do you want to mention anything before we kind of
Yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing this middle pillar in the human design chart that is so defined, and I'm seeing that what is connecting all these centers is basically the integration circuitry. And we're going into that 20 now next week, and it's the presence in the now, and it's a very much your flavor in the world, and it's you being you in the world, you being you from your power, you being you from your self-love, you being you in the present. There is something there that I'm drawn to and that I want to explore how that works, because if that works, if that works right, I feel like there is no risk really of living in the completely open ego or in the open emotional or in the open spleen. So I want to explore and discover how we maybe, might help to reconnect that integration circuitry, the 10, the 34, and the 20, or how, there's something there where I feel an activation. And I'm also curious about knowing about relationships. Like, are you married? Do you have children? Who is in your life? Because I see your sacral center kind of grasping for something on the other side. There are all these gates.
The tantric channels. Give me the 15, the 2, and the 46.
I have 2 daughters that are grown, and one is married and one isn't. And I'm divorced. I've been divorced for quite a while, and I don't really have a personal relationship in my life right now.
Do you desire that?
I do, but I don't desire just any personal relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, that for me, Ashley and I, we both have a 6-line attraction in the gene keys, and that is, it's not with anybody, and especially with you that have that 11 that can sense the frequency if something is dark or something is light. So you're not just want to connect for the sake of like a little bit of fun, or the sake of like, oh, it's kind of healthy, or just romance. Like it's when you have a 6-line in your attraction, you know that it's possible to have all the colors of the rainbow. So you can connect as a, with your animal body, but also you want to connect with your heart, and also you want to look in the same direction as the other person. And if you anything less than that, that would not feel perfectly wholesome to you. So I can see that, and there is something also that I feel like that 6th line also takes me back to the vocation or the core wound that is a 6th line. There is something about this core wound of separation. I know that you were telling us that as a child you were very quiet, and I'm wondering where did that come from? Like, how did you become quiet in your life, and from the beginning of your childhood?
That's interesting. I don't know. I think I just have always been kind of, I always just felt like I didn't quite belong. And so I always just had very few friends growing up. And I had a distinctly different way of looking at things when I was a child. It was almost like I knew what was right and what was wrong, and what I saw didn't work. And I was in it. I was just being told, well, that's the way of the world. And so I spent a lot of time in books and a lot of time drawing and making things, keeping myself busy rather than, out there trying to party and dance and do things like lots of other people, different age groups did.
And you also said that your dad was very protective, and that basically he wouldn't allow you to go out if you didn't have a certain friend you were going to see. So how much do you feel like that played into your, maybe not just the quietness, but your well-behavedness, if that's a word?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was a part of what he had to do to keep doing what he did as far as work went. His work came first, and he was married to his work, and his family kind of chugged along behind that. And so that, and I was the oldest, so I took care of my siblings. And
and your mom was only 16 when you were born. No, when she married. How old was she when you were born?
16. Yeah.
So I would love to know, how did your parents want you to be? Like, do you know what their ideal was? Was it well behaved? Was it quite like, how would they say this is the ideal daughter? This is the qualities we want her to have. What would that have been?
I think my mom wanted me to get married and have babies. And my dad wanted me to be a mathematician, engineer. He wanted me to, he didn't want me to do what I wanted to do because that was not the way you earn money. So.
And what would they not, were they some, I know that you were quiet and well behaved, but do you remember any incidents from your childhood where they would be like, this was wrong, and they would like tell you, don't be like this, or don't do like this? Do you have any memories of that?
I remember mostly that, you know, I was encouraged to read a lot. I was encouraged, I frustrated my family because there were just certain things in school I wasn't interested in, and it was very, very important to be good at that. And by the time I got to high school, I just was not interested in school at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I went.
Actually, do you have any other questions about the childhood before I feel like I want to dive into the Venus? I say that I'm going to do it right, but I can't.
I know, I'm kind of getting excited too, because the questions you asked were really good, and I'm already seeing the patternings. So if you want to dive into that, we totally can. So if you feel like you're ready, then lay it down.
I see this beautiful story because the red spheres in the gene keys are the Venus work, the Venus sequence, when we reclaim the inner parts of ourselves. And if we go from the other, like usually we go, when we thread back and reclaim ourselves, we go from the IQ to the EQ to the SQ to the core of vocation. What I see, I see something very strong from your vocation to your SQ, because I see this child that says like, I never really belonged, or I've read like, it's a double thing, because you have a 6-line vocation, this is the core wound of separation, kind of feeling you came either to the wrong planet or the wrong family, or your mom was only 16, so it's almost like you were sisters. It's like that thing, that the core wound of separation together with gene 10, which is you out of who you are, being natural, behaving as who you are in the world. You're the role model for freedom, and the freedom that comes from your own self-love. That 10 comes from the yellow diamond, from the G center in human design. So you come in with an imprinting where that is your vocation. But of course, since that's the core wound, you're going to see the flip side of that. You're going to, like, you're here to be a role model for freedom, coming from your own self-love, but you get split from that, and you feel that core wound of separation, and the 10 that can't just be in your own naturalness and being, but having your parents telling you have to be a mathematician, no, actually I want you to have a lot of babies, or actually just be quiet and read, there are things that are happening. And then, so when we look at the SQ, we see a child who needed freedom. So again, a triple thing of freedom. The second line in the SQ is about freedom. It's about wildness. It's about that kid that doesn't want to sit still, that is probably not so interested in school, but actually want to be free and want to be that eternal child. The third gene key, we are calling it the eternal child archetype. So you were here to never grow up, but actually you're 16, your mom was 16 or 17, and you became the oldest, kind of the second part of the household, because your dad was not really married to you, he was married to his work, and he would make you leave for his work every 2 years. So it was not even really this sense of being natural. Like when you are a child and you're putting in a new school, how can you be natural? How can you be a role model? How can you be free? How can you be playful when you're put around feeling like your dad is married to his work and not to your family? And then you were telling me about some of the incidents when you were around 12, where you could feel like you had an incident that made you fear, and that there was something that it was something that you felt like the world was evil, and you were a victim for something, and the perceived feeling of that's the 55. Your freedom, again, freedom, the 55 was taken away from you, and you were a victim for something, and that made you again go inwards. Like you had learned to go inwards before. You had learned to not be able to share your freedom, your way of being. You were despondent when it comes to your dad's work or your mom being so young. So here is where you start at the age of 8, 9, 10, 12 to actually go into that, okay, there's nothing I can do. You become introvert. Your self-esteem, you feel like, I don't really feel like I fit in. I feel very lonely. Emotionally, you're feeling very lonely. And maybe that's even today where you feel like, I can't accept any person, because you feel like with, it's just that thing still of not really believing that freedom and joy and that 55 that is the dragonfly is possible. And then what we see you do when you are in your IQ, when you're 14 to 21, is that the only thing you know is safe is that place of sitting still and reading. Almost like you go into a quiet place of aloneness, of stillness, the lake that doesn't move. And you're smart, like you're logical. So you go up to that logical brain and be like, even when you say, I want to be with somebody, but I don't want to be with anybody, it sounds so logical. And we don't even get to feel how it feels in that 55.1. We don't feel how the loneliness feel of being alone. We think she's really logical. Of course she doesn't want to be with anybody. So it's like that IQ is trapping you and say, be logical, be still, and it looks fine on the outside, but on the inside there are those parts of you that want to be reclaimed, the freedom, the expression, the being able to share self-honestly in the EQ, and that child that is the eternal child is all about freedom, that wants you to say, nobody's ever going to tell you to take care about your siblings anymore. You're not going to have to take care of things in your life, and you can be free. And well, so you like your dad, like you kind of want to protect that inner child from your parents. And every time she feels like the world is not safe, you actually want to give her that safety. And that is when I feel like you're coming back to the freedom of being a role model of that integration circuitry that we can see from the beginning that 10 is so important in your body graph, because it's what connects all the centers, so that your pillar of individuation, you could say, your pillar of your life force, it's becoming connected. And especially if you don't have any other people in your life, there is really this thing that kind of comes first in your case. And I want to add later things that kind of explain the core wound more, but this is the pathway of your childhood, and we want you to walk back. So we want you to reclaim, like, you have a higher perspective of things with your mind, but you don't want to be stuck there. So you have a possibility of being still, but we don't want you to be stuck there. We want you to come back to your truth, to your self-honesty, to be able to express that self-honesty with emotion in the world, to reclaim your freedom, to reclaim your playfulness, to come back to your naturalness. That's the way that you reclaim the mental together with the emotional, together with the physical, together with the spiritual. And when those four becomes buddies in you and can play together, that's when you are going to shine from the inside out. And that's when, instead of feeling the kind of hunger in the life's work that you're not really being fulfilled in the second line, it's actually going to fulfill you from the inside, so that you as a second line naturally can attract to you exactly what you're here to attract.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anything that really resonated about
the whole
all of that?
Yeah, a lot of it resonated. Exactly. Because I don't think that I've been actually able to create a beingness or to feel freedom. Mm-hmm. And my work, the work that I don't enjoy working for other people, but when I work by myself for other people, I'm okay with that, because I can.
Like a contractor?
Well,
or
I work when I'm not on furlough. I work in a space by myself for other people, but I basically am the only one in my company that does what I do. And so I'm okay. I'm in my own office, and I just do what I'm supposed to do. And I can listen to what I want to listen to and work at my own pace. And I'm okay with that, somewhat. It's not my own space, and it's not my own job, and I'm not making as much money as I would desire, but
yeah. Hold on, I need to tell my husband to stop weed whacking while I'm on a call. 1 second.
Well, I know where I want to go in a while, but I feel like I feel like that's maybe a little early. I want to speak a little bit about the culture, because you said you don't like to work under others. I mean, first and foremost, with that cross of industry, like Richard Rudd, he doesn't like to work under others. We have a friend who does soul conversations with us inside our inner circle with Ashley, and she has the same cross. She doesn't work under somebody. Like, she was a professor in English for many years, but she's always had her own color. So there's something with your cross that you're not here to work for others. You're a genius, you know. And also the culture, the 4.6. That 6th line has the system view. You don't want anybody to be over you, because you're here to sit on the roof and to, you know, so that it's perfectly, I mean, I love that you have come into that realization, because so many people that have been, you know, had to be quiet and had to sit still would actually also decide in that culture to be like, okay, I understand with the fourth jinky, understand this is what I have to do. No, you actually didn't fall in that trap. You knew that you are here. You understand that you're here to not work under others, because your genius doesn't want to be put in a box.
Right. And I do love making things, and I love making beautiful things, you know. But right now, where I'm at is, you know, working within constraints, and it's okay because it's enhancing my skills and other levels. So I'm okay with that. Not for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I see with the individual circuitry that you have, I feel like you came in like knowing who you are and what you want, and that child inside of you was like, oh, I don't think this is gonna fly with my parents. I don't think they're gonna accept me. So you created this defense mechanism of being an introvert and going inside, because you knew that you weren't going to get called out for that. Because as a 6th line, being objective and being able to observe, you're able to see, like, I don't know how acute you were at being able to pinpoint, like, oh, I do this, they say this. Because my son's a 2-4, he gets called out all the time, but he's very, very provocative. And so you're like, oh, if I can be me and have this adventure and escape into my mind and be quiet and be creative, but I can do it interpersonally, and then I'm not rocking the boat of anything, and everything's going to be okay. Oh, why am I on the Chiron return? Maybe we'll talk about that soon. But I feel like with your open ego center, you were kind of just self-preserving yourself. You're like, I don't want anyone to call me out. It's very uncomfortable. I can feel it emotionally, not wanting to react, because heaven forbid you like react to somebody telling you who to be, how to be. It's going to rock the boat even more. So you're just going to create this defense mechanism inside of yourself. And I think it's super important, this whole circuitry, the individual circuitry with the 20, the 10, and the 34. It's important for you to understand yourself, to learn yourself, because that's where your Chiron is right now. You have, you do have the cross of industry, and this is 30, 29, 34, and 20. So you see that 20 showing up, that 34 showing up. This is, I know what I do, or I know I do in the now. Right? I do in the now. And you have to be discerning about what you commit to and what lights your fire and what excites you. So you can have a ton of different opportunities and potential, but you have to be very present in whatever it is you're doing, and making that decision for yourself of, what do I choose to do? What is what I want to do? And making that wholehearted decision. You can see that you're 29, your pearl is 29.1. And it's all individual too. It's focused on the self. It's simplicity, but it's also self-empowerment. It's also focused on, what do I want to commit to, and who do I want to commit to? Because you have the 6th line here, and that has a dream and a vision for what it wants in a relationship. But that 1st line pearl is also saying here, I only want what nurtures me. I only want what's gonna like bring more fertility to my soil. I don't want relationships that are going to drain me. I don't want people who are going to have expectations of me. I want to be who I need to be, because that's what your internal child wants. It wants to be accepted and loved and united for that beautiful childlike being that it is, that has this naturalness about it. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, is you're being very picky about what you're committing yourself to and what you're doing. It's all about doing, and the doors that you decide to walk through. You have to be fully committed to it and say yes to this, no to this. Because when you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something else. When you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So we need to figure out, like, what do your yeses and nos mean for you? And what do you desire? Okay. Because that 30 in your Chiron is it's in your life's work. It's saying, what lights my fire? What do I desire? You're 5-2. That one's is very impactful, right? It's here to lead something. It's here to have impact. It's here to have that big magnetic impactful aura. And so you're here to burn that fire for everyone to see. And you're like, I commit to this. I want this. This is what I'm doing. And kind of living and leading from that. And so investigating that and knowing, hey, I'm worthy of my freaking fire. I am worthy to go out and do this. Like, that's what I desire. So that's what I'm going to do. Instead of kind of escaping and having that adventure internally, you're probably going to be like, well, okay, now let me see how I can have these relationships that I can have this adventure and this boundlessness with, and true mirroring instead of this internal individual kind of adventure, because you could get stuck in that internal adventure where you're just living in your imagination in the 64 and in the 11. So everything is just played out inside of you, and you're not having that community or friendship or anything externally.
Right.
That is what you desire. That's that loneliness you talk about.
Right. And, it does help to have feedback and connections with people, so that you can see what you're doing and see, get more information, have new and different ways of thinking of things, rather than seeing the possibilities. And also the energy, being connected with other people and sharing that excitement of being a part of creating something is a good thing.
Yeah, it's an exciting thing, I'm sure. And that 6th line, having the core wound of separation, I mean, what's the opposite of separation? Like, you're going to want to unite completely. Like, how can you experience this commitment and devotion and unity with the other two? How can you share yourself completely when as a child you didn't have the opportunity to share your individualism with others because they were telling you what they expected you to be? Like, yes, you had a really quick and smart mind, but it was only for the things that you were excited and enthusiastic about. The trajectory of your life was like, okay, yeah, mastery, but mastering in what you're wanting to dedicate to. If you don't want to dedicate to school, then that's not happening.
Right.
And with this 4.6, I mean, I feel like I don't know how easy it is to perturb you or make you feel like you're shaken, because I feel like you could be so objective and still, and just understand where the other person's coming from, that you're like, oh, it's okay. I'll just, and I don't know. I'm not sure where the reaction, it might have been more of a repression than reaction. Like, a lot of the stuff was focused inward. What would you say about that? Was there any times where you were like exploding or burning others, or do you felt you were just burning yourself?
I think that, sometimes, I get into a point where I'm frustrated, and I will express myself through frustration when I get beyond and lose my patience. I don't do that often, but and it's mostly with other people, because they're, once again, having expectations about how I should be. And I'm like, I don't want to be that way. You don't even know me. You don't get to tell me how to be. And so, and part of it is that I just don't understand the rules half the time. And so that's a frustration for me.
You don't understand the rules? The what?
The rules. Like, people get along in this world. They get along, they know the rules. They know what they're supposed to do when and how to do it. And, they're quite peaceable about it. And I don't do that very well.
Tell us a little bit about that. I want to hear more.
You rebel, you. What's happening here?
Well, the mask issue. I had a neighbor bang on my door the other day and said, "Here's a mask for you. I noticed you don't wear a mask." And they said, "No, I don't wear a mask. And if I wanted to wear a mask, I'd have one." And he got upset with me. And I just kind of smiled and said, "I gotta go." But yeah, I tend to not follow rules very well.
I mean, it's completely your vocation. I mean, that you are here to be you in the world, to be what's natural for you. You're a 2-4 profile. It's all about naturalness. So I love that you're doing that. I feel like in that sense you have tapped into that vocation's 10.6. I see still something happening when we go deeper into the core wound. I see some, and this has been really a theme for me and Ashley in all our latest readings, I would say. It's that EQ. The EQ holds a truth that is so profound. So for me, what I see, and I think it is connected to the experience that you have with somebody who was evil when you were right before your teens, and it made you go into that first line of kind of repression, and maybe things come out in frustration, but they don't come out from like an open, transparent like chest that can really share from that place. It kind of has to go up till your sacral center kind of starts to boil, and then it comes out. So there is something there, and I feel like it is connected to what Ashley was saying before. The 11, it's also the 19 that is your Chiron. You had this experience, and I know that you said that the people that were with you didn't have the same experience. You have the 19 in your Chiron on both sides. It's a second line and it's a fifth line. This is all about projection, and something in that experience was projected on you so that you kind of had to take it on. You are so sensitive. The 19 can feel a little thing that is like in a shirt. Even if you cut it off, the 19 can feel on the skin that it's there.
Yes.
So there is something in your astral body that felt something that was evil, and it felt it, and it had to go so deep inside to that first line to be safe. That's that's the only way it could go. What happened when you went that deep? Your fire could, like the fire water. I want to say the fire water, because this is the 29 it's a fire of devotion, but it's the element of water on water in the I Ching. I see the Shakti here. I see the life force. It comes from the sacral center. So it is a kind of fire kind of engine. It's that feminine fire and water together. What happened? You went so deep into the first line of your EQ so that and you can see it. Pluto is the 29. So it's the core. It's the collective core wound that you're here. So many people go so deep into repression, so they can't feel their life force. They can't feel their Shakti. In your case, though, it's extremely sad, because your Pearl is the 29. You have Pluto 29. You have your Pearl the 29. Your law in this life, Jupiter, is that 29. It is that fire. It's that fire water, that devotion, that tantra, that commitment, that saying yes, that passionate expression that you say that you're longing for, that is in your Pearl. And it's also, it's kind of told that you're going to be doing it, even, you're doing it kind of collectively now. We are speaking about that Pluto. And that's what you are here to transform or help transform for the collective. So there's a very powerful theme with this. And I would even say there is something where I can see a psychomagic act here. Like there is something that happened where that evil, and you could say, you even told us that you could remember some smells that were with you. I would create something with that smell. I would water it for I don't know, 12 days probably, because you were 12 years old. And I would say, okay, I would kind of cultivate it outside my own body. And then I will go out to the forest, to a beautiful place. I would make a hole in the earth, and I will bury it and plant on it. that's what I would do, because there's something in your freedom that, you know, wants to bubble up, but it's almost like that first line repression wants to be planted in the earth. It's not you anymore that need to do that. You want to reclaim your water fire, and that's why you have to give away that first line in your EQ. So that I feel like there's an act here, and then that frustration, suddenly instead of exploding frustration, you're going to have a different access to that 29 into your sacral center, and all the other things are going, the 34 to the 10, the 34 to the 20, everything is going to fire in a different way, because it isn't that conflict between repression and fire. You know, it's like it's going to, I feel like there is something that wants to be grounded in earth so that you can have access to who you truly are.
Okay.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. It's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, but it's like such a beautiful act. It's so beautiful, and it's like, let's bury this. And with your open center here, I mean, this is fear, right? And the fear of like the laws or the rules of the family, and whatever was coming here, creating some kind of unease in your emotions, and the fear that was brought up. I say it's beautiful. It's perfect. This is gonna trigger and alchemize and transmute anything from the past that kind of kept you from really claiming that freedom, to give you access. And I love how Ella's bringing in the elements, because as we know, like the first line is earth, second air, earth, air, fire, third water, fourth line. And I feel like bringing this in is what's going to help you move back, because like she was saying, your child is natural. Your child is shining its light. It's like, oh, I'm going to be me. And then all of a sudden it's hit with, oh, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of this, right? And it kind of pulled back. And it's like, I can't express my naturalness. I can only express that inside. And so now this is a beautiful opportunity to let that really be laid to rest.
And there is something in practical terms, because that passionate expression is in the 29. I feel like if we would give you some practical things, it would also be, there is a simplification. It's almost like say yes to one thing at a time. If you can just devote yourself to one thing at a time, instead of kind of being, oh, you know, like maybe that thing, I just want to be with the right person. But maybe that's your thing. Focus just on finding the right person. For example, like there's something with that first line pearl that is about simplicity. That is, it's kind of asks you to do one like focus, say yes, commit to one thing at a time, because otherwise it could be like, how can I find it? So something with deciding where your wholeheartedness is going, and you don't have to do all the things at the same time. Choose one and do it fully, because when that 29 opens in your pearl, you're also doing it for the collective. There is something here with you when it becomes natural for you as a 2-4, is also a transformation that you're planting that seed for everybody. And you have a very, very powerful, like once that sacral center, I feel like when you can make, like when you can give back that experience to the earth, I feel like your sacral center in that 29 is going to fuel everything that is in your design. And you have the 11 and the 56. You have ideas, and you have the manifestation expression power of those ideas. So I would say, listen to your ideas, and again, listen to that inner child. Who were you before anybody told you to sit still or help with your siblings, or that you had to move again every 2 years? Like, who were you before that? Because you have this power of the integration circuitry. You are here to be you in the now, and not so concerned about others or masks or this or that. You're here to be you, and focus on the things where you feel natural, where you feel self-love, where you feel powerful, where you feel present.
Right. Those are big steps for me.
Yes. And so you get to chew on it and mull it over and be like, do I commit to this? Is this something I commit to? I mean, you see the Pluto, like Bella was saying, and then as we move into your Chiron, which is this current life cycle, the left angle cross of industry, there's that 29 again. 29.5. So you have the fifth line that you're experiencing in the 29. You have the second, the third, And then there was one more. And the first, second, third, fifth. You have a lot of experience with that 29. So
Wow.
it's a big theme for you, I would say.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read that in the Gene Keys book, aren't I?
I would definitely. It's going to be in transit in August, I believe. So it's going to be even more powerful for you then. You've been in this cycle for a while, the left ankle crossive industry for a while. So I would just, I don't know, explore this. I mean, explore that fire that we have in the 30. This is a fire starter archetype, but you have to have that devotion to stoke that fire, to continue that fire, or else it's going to eventually burn out. Just like if you had like a stove that heated the house, you have to continue to put stuff on it, right? And so when you do commit to it, that's what's going to keep that fire burning.
So it's going to require going way back to remember from a long time ago what I had planned.
What you had what? What do you mean?
Planned or anticipated for myself in the beginning.
I think everything is connected. You have a lot of 6 lands, and so the dream is inside of you, and it just keeps. I would start laying out the pieces that you've had, so that you can start to see the bigger puzzle piece, the bigger picture. Okay. I mean, so just take everything and put it all out on the table and be like, okay, here's part of my dream here. I mean, you have a dream for relationships. You have a dream that you're creating in your mind. I mean, you're not here to stay with any sort of dogma or belief. You just keep transcending them. I love the idea of the 6 line, because if you sit still enough, you're going to be able to keep transcending these layers of beliefs and thoughts, and just it's so cool to be able to see that evolution and progression that could happen. I mean, the 6 line has the most potential to be like that enlightened mind. So allow yourself to kind of, I mean, I know that you probably have been there, gone there, because that's where you're most at home. So I'm probably going to venture to guess, I mean, this is easy for you to go into, because it was your playground as a child. Like, oh, let me go play in my mind. Let me go play in my imagination. That's where I'm going to go. But now it's like, what does it look like to be the role model? Because you're a 10.6 and the role model is a teacher, but it's more like, I'm going to model how I express myself completely. Like, I am devoted to myself. And because I'm so devoted to myself, it's all about forgiving yourself and forgiving others for trying to make you be who you aren't. Oh, it's okay. You don't need to tell me who I am. I know who I am. And I understand why you want me. You're just trying to keep me safe. You're just trying to set me up for success. You're just trying to do like what you would do, but it's not what I would do. And here are my laws. Here are my rules. Here's how I live. And I'm going to be that contributor in society by showing you I'm going to show up as myself, and I'm super devoted to myself. And you don't settle for any less. And so, of course, like, you're not going to be with anybody who doesn't have the same like respect and honor for you showing up as you. And you're going to have your own ideas. And it might be like, oh, this fantasy that's not tangible. Like, who's ever going to accept me for me completely, because my parents sure as hell didn't. Who's going to come and be that? I mean, leave room for that. You're still trying to figure out. And I feel like the more that you are in your power as this like role model self, and the more you just keep forgiving all the times you didn't show up as yourself and repressed yourself and didn't give yourself completely. It is all about devotion to complete self-expression. Let me be myself.
Yeah, I see that happening now, where I'm pulling out beliefs that I thought were true and realizing that they're not based on truth at all. And it's really actually kind of upsetting because
I love that. Because I'm so excited.
It pulls the rug out from under your feet. And so what you thought you were standing on is no longer there.
Yeah, but you're very adaptable, and like your mind's not going to hold on to it. Just, I mean, with your open splenic, like don't hold on to the beliefs either. Like let them go. You have your set beliefs. I would even put everything down on the table. Like what are my laws? What are my rules? And like put them down like, oh, do they still stand? Oh no, I outgrew that. Rip that up. You know what you can do? You can take all the laws that were your beliefs and your ideals before that you've kind of transcended, and you can bury that with that other stuff that you're doing and just make a whole big pile and be like, okay, here we go. Here's the burn pile, and then we're going to plant it and we're going to water it. And let's just bring in all the elements, because as with all those 6 lands, I mean, like earth, air, water, fire, ether, everything. Call on your ancestors and the spirit guides and be like, bless this land and send this far away. It could be fun. I feel like I'm really connecting to your 3 because I have that in my pearl. And from the moment we hopped on the call, I'm like, she has to have the eternal child. I didn't even look at your chart until we got on right now because I couldn't control the amount of information that would flow through me. So I just don't look at them until we're in it. And I'm like, she has to have the 3. And lo and behold, you do, because you're just so playful. Like from the beginning when we were talking, I'm like, she's got to have that. So I'm excited and delighted.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bella, you're very serious. So I'd like to know what's going on in your head.
I don't know. I want to hear why you divorced your husband. I know that there's just something there that I know that there's a nugget.
You can say pass if it's too much, but I'm curious too.
Well, I married a person because I wanted to get married and have children.
Mm-hmm.
And soon after I married him, I realized this wasn't good. But at the time, I was a very staunch conservative Christian, and you don't divorce if you're Christian. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of decided I was going to make the best of it. And so I kind of did my own thing during my marriage. I had 2 beautiful babies, and I homeschooled my babies, and I made their clothes, and I learned how to grind flour and do all that stuff, and made a beautiful home. And my husband went out and decided that he wanted to be with someone else. Mm. And he left. And it broke my heart. Mm. So, as you can tell, I still get verklempt over it. Mm-hmm. And my daughters won't talk about him. He hurt them very deeply. And the woman that he married, he promised that my daughters would become her daughters, and they wouldn't do it. Mm. And that marriage also failed as well. So, yeah, it was a heartbreak. But I definitely did not marry a person who wanted to be a partner.
Yeah. There is something here where I feel like the 29 comes in again. You are here to marry somebody who is here to merge with you as water. There is something where they come from. Like when you release that 29 in your pearl, in your Pluto, which comes from reclaiming, not repressing, like reclaiming your sacral power, I feel like there is a new chance. And you have the stability sphere, your design Saturn is the 34. And the 34 is forcing something to happen that might not want to happen. Like you couldn't force your husband to be the father because he was not meant to be it. So to reclaim your stability, part of it is to accept the choicelessness of life. He was perfect to become the father of your children. And now you have 2 beautiful daughters. And one, I think you said one have a daughter or one is married. So there's a continuity of your playfulness, of your possibilities through that. And what I feel with the stability is that you want to reclaim your own. It's not about it's not about forcing a relationship that isn't there to work. It's so much for you to find that inner strength. The inner strength is the 34 in the gift frequency, and that shows us the same thing in your body graph. You have that pillar that all the colored center in the middle, that is your inner strength. And it asks you to come back to that inner strength. And now when you have cleared out, when you can clear out whatever made your 19 in your Chiron not feel good in your body, when your astral body is free, and your own life energy, your own devotion energy is there, it's like, then I feel like you can truly attract somebody that comes to you through that 29. And we see in your attraction, you have a 6th line. So it's all about connecting, from all the levels. Like, you want to see the vision, you want to connect from the heart, you want to connect from the body. And it was not light. It was not the ideal, the 11 in the attraction. It was not ideal the last time. It wasn't light. But now you have that possibility, because what was your task almost in this lifetime, those hard times, the 11 goes to hard times. But it's like you have the possibility to not only understand it, but to start to like do these practical things. How can you simplify? How can you do a little ritual so that this is once and for all? There are those little practical things that are actually quite, for you, it's simplicity. And if that is what you are longing for, then I would like you to listen to Richard's 34. I think we want to, if you don't have them, we'll send you the audio of the 34 and then 29. And these are your meditations, because they're going to make you come into your inner strength, into your inner commitment and devotion. And that commitment, what I see in you is the commitment to passionate expression. Like, that's what you're longing for, and that's the commitment I see in you. And it's going to happen from your inner strength, from your inner knowing, not from a forcing, like a person or something that it's not actually even an equal to you.
Right. I hear what you're saying, and it rings very true to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I made a note, so we'll get those to you. I'd also say, as a validation and a verification for you, the only completely open center that you have is your will center. And this is about worthiness, but it's about promises. And you're supposed to be wise about promises too. You're here to be experiencing that. And so in that relationship, you understood that, okay, this was the promise and he broke it. And so can anyone keep their promise to you? And the 29 that you have a bajillion times, like, yeah, you're not here to make promises because of the open of your will center, but you can, because you have 29 so many times. It's part of your life lesson, is to understand the value of commitment and what that looks like. And also, the power of entering into a relationship correctly. I mean, as a second line, mirroring and relationships, so important for you. And so I would say that in the beginning, the goal was to marry, to have children. Like, there were other ideals that you probably had, but the strong one that your mother told you, get married, have babies. That was the point. That was the purpose. And he upheld his commitment to you to give you babies. But from here on out, you're like saying, yeah, but I want so much more. You didn't know any better. And that 6th line doesn't know any better. We're here figuring out. Me and Bella have it. We have this idea and this vision for what a relationship's supposed to look like, but we don't actually have the whole complete vision. It unfolds and blossoms within us. And so now, where you're at in your life, you've accumulated all of these experiences to tell you, this is what I do want, this is what I don't want. You're being able to be very specific about that and letting go of the things that don't matter. You're like, I can deal with this or whatever. Like, here's my non-negotiables and here's the things that I can let go of. And so you're able to be committed to that. And it can be simple, and you can just attract it, because those partnerships can come naturally to you, and you can experience all that you're wanting and desiring. You don't have to feel that disappointment of that marriage and say never again. Be open to what is waiting to come and manifest for you.
Right. Yes, and clearing out and focusing on what it is that I'm supposed to be focusing on, rather than letting all this other stuff drive me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much to empty out. I feel like doing that clearing ritual process, here's what I'm letting go here. If you could make room and make space, instead of being closed off and saying, I can't share this part of me because it gets it gets disappointed and let down all the time in relationships. I'm better off by myself. Do you have the belief that I'm better off by myself? I want you to look at that and be very discerning. Am I committing to that law that I've made for myself, or am I ready to let that go?
Right. And I'm not quite sure that it's that I don't want to trust. It's that I would prefer to share with people who would think that the things that I think about are just as important as.
And that's the thing with the 29. When you find your own devotion, that is going to be in your energy. So that's why that part is important. Ignite that 29 in you, your own commitment, your own wholeheartedness. So when you are engaged in things wholeheartedly, when the passion is in you, that is what, that's what other people are going to feel in you. And that's why you're going to attract, as a second line, like Ashley was saying, then that's going to be attracted in reciprocity. So it's really somehow you first, and then it comes to
you.
Really,
right. Yes, I get that. I get that. When I see things that are, or I have things that happen that aren't comfortable, I realize it's me. It's not them. Ultimately, it's the way I'm perceiving things, or something, the programming running within myself is manifesting that.
Your sensitivity is picking up on something. It's just, are you reacting to it, or are you observing it, or what is the process happening inside of you? Because that's all we can look at. We can't control anyone else, but like you were saying, we can.
Yeah, sometimes I don't pause. I react. I don't pause. I know that.
Is there any questions that you have? Anything lingering? What would you have us close out with?
Oh gosh. There's so much. This has been a wonderful experience for me. And I'm beginning to see how I can begin to create the next aspect of my life. Because I was truly kind of losing it here for a while. So yeah, I think I have an idea of where to look, and I don't know how it's going to manifest, or what it's going to look like at all.
I feel like there is like the word I get when I hear you speak now is self-discovery. It's actually a process of your own self-discovery. And some people get to do it when they're children, and some people get to do it in the Chiron return. It does like you have timelessness in your activation sequence. So maybe it doesn't matter. It happens.
Well, fortunately, it is happening, and hopefully I won't have to come back and do it again, right?
No. You're set. I feel like everything's going to unfold perfectly for you. You just keep being open to it. And I would also say, because you have a defined head in Ajna, I want you to be able to digest this and like turn this into your own understanding and language, because we speak really fast and we're throwing a lot of stuff at you, and I want this to digest. So if you do want to reach out to us again and be like, can you clarify this, or here's this question, I'm totally open to that, because I know that it's going to be your own process to kind of pull this in and do something with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
I can see that I'm going to want to go back and listen to this again and again.
Yeah, and make it bigger too on the screen, because it's tiny now. Like I have quite good eyes, but not that good eyes. So to watch it really, what Ash is pointing at also is going to be helpful for your to visually see it at the same time.
Right. Exactly. I did pull up the PDF myself, and so I was looking at it, although I wasn't sure what she was pointing at.
Yeah, I'll send you the recording. I will send you the recording, the 34 for inner strength and the 29 for inner commitment. And I'll see if I have these. I don't know if I recorded any meditation activations for those yet, and I'll see if I do. So whatever we have on those. And then I would also recommend the Sacred Union Blueprint, the course that we created for the inner masculine and the inner feminine, if you're wanting to dive into that aspect of yourself. Because in order to have that sacred union in marriage with somebody else, you first have to kind of, like Bella was saying, reclaim the inner masculine, the inner feminine, and bring them together into that union. So if that's what you're desiring, I would definitely kind of, like she was saying, boundlessness and adventure inside of you. So where do we start? Let's just go deep and look at that masculine and feminine and see what's showing up there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what I want to do, what I desire, what I like doing, what I like making, working with fabrics and designing. I like the idea of blending the masculine and the feminine in that. And
I mean, this is the last thing I'm going to say, because actually, I'm going to have to leave soon to go to our other meeting. But I just wanted to say the 16 in your throat. Ashley and I, we have it too, and it's about that, being versatile and being able to weave and work with many different things, like fabrics, for example. So it is a creative expression that you have in your throat. That is, your throat is also a defined center. So I would say that it sounds great. As that weaving of fabrics sounds really like something that you would be really, that is something that's consistent in you. That's something that is, that you can always trust in yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I will send you these things, this recording, your homework, and then also to mention and to kind of piggyback off of the weaving and the fabric. I would create a tapestry that represents you. I would create your wedding dress for your union. I would create all these things, like whatever is exciting you, and for sure doing some kind of ritual, whether it be what we had said or not, some kind of ritual that you're committing yourself to for a particular period of time, just to like say, I'm committing to me for this amount of time, and it's for me, for my empowerment, for myself, and just see what happens after that, and putting yourself first. So I'm excited for what's to come for you if you take action. But definitely watch this again, and I will be in your inbox sending you all of this, all the goodies. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much,
everyone else. Yes, we so appreciate your transparency too, and the things that you shared. Thank you, everybody who joined us live. If you want to come back on Facebook and look at the comments, there's some people who commented some really nice things for you, so I would check those out. If anybody else is interested in doing readings like this, you can inbox me or Bella if you're interested in this being an experience for you. And thank you again, Lezli.
Thank you so much, Bella and Ashley. You have been wonderful. I appreciate everything that you've done this evening. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm so happy. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.